You.
Yep, and we are live.
That we are.
Cannabis and Conspiracies. These guys are the cannabis, I'm the conspiracy. So there you go.
I got a little conspiracy in me. It's not you, but I have a little conspiracy in me.
Oh, okay. Well.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
All right, today we're talking about UFOs, unidentified flying objects. You had a different acronym, Belmont. What was that? NIA, something like that.
IUAPs.
IUAPs.
UAPs.
Yeah. Yeah. What's that? What's that stand for?
You don't know what that stands for?
No, I don't know what that stands for. That's why I asked.
Hence the question.
It's
Come on.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon. Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Nice.
I did not know that.
I didn't either.
See,
I don't think I'd heard that before.
I had never heard of it before, so there you go.
There's a few different ways they call them. The government changes the name once in a while, so throw things off. So you can ask them, give me your UFO files. Like, oh, these are the UFO files, but
right.
you didn't say UAP files. You know what I mean? So they call them something different. Right. They keep changing the name and stuff. So for Freedom of Information Act, people try to gather information, and then they'll leave out stuff, and then they just redact everything anyway, so it doesn't even fucking matter.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't call them Foo Fighters if you have UAP, right? Yeah, most people don't know Foo Fighters is an actual term based on the G-men that were like dealing with the UFOs back in. How far back was that? Like World War II, wasn't it? All the way back to World War II?
I think it was World War II.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty interesting that they had a designated group of people even back as far as World War II. You know, of course, I think they had to do with like people coming into the United States airspace. I think that was for like foreign planes coming in. But then you got like the incident of the Battle of L.A. where it triggered all the defenses, and then it turned out to not be a foreign airplane unless you call outer space foreign. You know,
I'd say that fits.
Yeah, it's a foreign object. It's another.
It was a weather balloon, Bunny. Come on.
Weather balloon.
Yeah.
Weather balloon that just happened to fly vertically and then straight up, right?
Yeah, and then it took like 10 million shots, too, of high caliber gunfire. All balloons do that.
Weather balloon, yeah. There you
go. They lit that fucking thing up and didn't even probably put a dent in that thing.
Nah, that's a damn tough weather balloon, I tell you.
Yeah.
Considering the technology at that time, it wasn't hydrogen filled. It would be it wouldn't be helium filled. It'd been hydrogen filled, and that thing would have gone up like a bottle, like a bomb, you know. So ungodly.
They all just missed their target. That's what happened.
That's what they did. They missed. They missed. Yeah. Of course, the Hindenburg. Yeah, that was just a straight lightning strike. So all this. Oh yeah.
Got Aaron in here.
Yeah. I told him Aaron. Yeah. He usually is able to comment on anything. I'm a little surprised that we found a subject that doesn't know something about. He's a very deep young man. So what's your favorite abduction story, or what's your favorite abduction account, Belmont?
Me?
Yeah,
it's probably either the Betty and Barney Hill, or the Travis Walton.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Travis Walton. That's the one that was made into a movie, which I saw in the theaters.
The other one's a movie as well. It's got James Earl Jones in it, but I think it was made in the 70s or
really?
70s.
I did not know that. What's it called?
I'm not sure the name of it. But I haven't really even seen it. But it has James Earl Jones. He plays Barney Hill. And what supposedly happened is they were on a trip, and then they had some lost time, and they don't know what happened. But they had a recollection when they went under hypnosis, and the story was that they saw something in the sky, and they pulled over, and it started getting closer, and then Barney, I guess, had a weapon in his vehicle, and he was going to go get his weapon, and something told him in his head, "You better not think about going getting that." And then later on, they regressed all this crazy shit, and they were getting experimented on, put a needle through Betty's navel, and did all these, like analyzed her body and did all these procedures and stuff. And then she wanted proof. She wanted proof to tell everybody, that she was on this alien craft. And she actually asked one of the aliens if she can have a book or something to bring back with her. And they told her, yeah, you can have this book. And then later on, they lied and never gave her that book to bring back. But that was all recalled after hypnosis. And another thing is they showed her this crazy star map when they asked where the aliens were from. And I think it was Zeta Reticuli, I believe it was. When they're showing the star system, and the star map, she actually drew under hypnosis. But back then, the star map didn't make any sense. But later on, like 20 or 30 years later, they actually discovered that star map actually did make sense because another star was discovered, and then it added up. So she knew the star pattern before scientists and NASA did. And
well,
so
which was later used in the movie K-Pax.
Oh yeah, with Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Molester Spacey.
Yeah, right.
All his accusers just magically die.
Yeah.
That's another conspiracy.
Funny how that works out.
Yeah, they were murdered by suicide.
Yep. Kind of like the Clintons. Kind of like people that deal with the Clintons. So.
Hojo's running late. He's got to do some laundry, and he'll be right in.
All right. What's Project Bluebeam? You know that?
Project Bluebeam.
Yeah.
No.
What was Project Bluebeam?
Oh no, I've never heard of it.
Hold on, I do know what it is, but I just got so many damn projects mixed up there.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, K-Pax though. K-Pax is just really.
Oh, okay. I remember now. Project Bluebeam is supposedly. You remember those crazy videos where they showed like cities in the sky? Like people like in China, I think it was. They had like those floating cities that are like in the sky, and people took these pictures. They're thinking that was actually done by the government, and they used like some kind of hologram software technology that actually created those to see maybe if the people were fooled and think it's real. So if they can fool them with that, what's stopping them from doing something else? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is one thing people misunderstand about holographic technology, because I see this all the time where people are like, oh, it might be a hologram. And well, the problem with that is a hologram needs a medium to project onto. And so you can't, the technology to project a three-dimensional figure into living space does not exist yet.
As far as know.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
As far as anybody of us know, okay. By the laws of physics that we are aware of now, the holograph has to have some medium to be projected into before.
Well, and what's it called? At Woodstock '99, I saw Jimi Hendrix perform as a hologram on stage. In 3D, without a screen.
Well, as far as you know, there wasn't a screen. There's actually a diaphanous like sheet that they
there is
projecting him onto.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. Yeah. Like with where they got like Prince now and Tupac and all that stuff. It's like a very it's like magic. You can't see the wire.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a diaphanous screen. It's a clear screen, but they are actually projecting it onto something, but it just looks like it's floating in space. It's the same thing they do in the Haunted Mansion. It's the same technology they use in the Haunted Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever been there, which I was once upon a time. And same thing I got with my Dracula that I was showing the other day. Same thing. But it has to be projected onto something. Now that's not saying that they don't have something mobile that they can like set up that they can project into. So I'm not leaving that possibility open.
Yeah, he's basically saying the guy in our audience is basically saying in the chat. He's saying that basically they're going to use this technology to fake an alien invasion. This is like a test run to see if they can, get away with the realness. If people believe that, that's there.
Did anybody watch those congressional hearings?
No.
No, I had literally anything else better to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They bring anybody in that would have anybody from the UFO community that would to testify, or was it just like releasing the heavily redacted stuff that they're letting us see now?
Well, I mean, I'll say this, and on that, people are saying that they're finally coming out and admitting it. There's one thing that the United States government hates, and that's to admit they're wrong or that they made a mistake. The government never says they made a mistake. There's always somebody else or an opposing party or faulty technology. Never their fault. Right. But the longer you keep something like this from the American people, the less credibility you have. Right.
One thing I find fascinating is you guys know about the SR-71 Blackbird?
Yeah, I've seen X-Men, the cartoon.
Yeah, well, the actual SR-71 Blackbird is still it's still light years ahead of any other technology that's ever been in a plane.
Yes.
It still holds the speed records and everything. They were retiring the plane, and they're like, okay, well, on the way out the door, now that we're declassified, we're going to set the speed record. And they set the speed record just casually, but that was a plane had deteriorating a point to where they needed to retire it, and it was, now that it was declassified, it was able to set a speed record. And a lot of people are wondering where did that technology come from, and it came from Skunk Works, which is evidently adjacent to the Area 51.
Yes.
So there's always been a kind of rumor that they might have used alien technology in the SR-71 Blackbird.
Right. So, I mean, this goes back to the whole re-engineering thing. I mean, you go back to Men in Black. They gave us Velcro. I mean, the holographic technology and things like this, and they're saying they're death rays. And the thing is, if they had gotten this technology from aliens, they would have used it in warfare by now.
Yeah. Well, unless there's some kind of agreement where they can't use it in warfare to gain an advantage, I mean.
Yeah, and I know no American politician would agree to that.
I mean, in general, though, since the 50s, the engineering, the things that we've created, the things that we've come up with, the technology has advanced just a ridiculous amount.
It's almost exponential.
Yeah. The fact that we're even talking about AI now is just amazing. Oh, okay. Floating city appears in the sky after a heavy hailstorm. Daily Mail.
This is in China. I think it did happen in a few different places, not just China, but
okay.
Check out this footage.
My question is, How does a heavily monitored Japanese or Chinese internet allow that to be
Yeah.
Exactly.
put out there?
Uh-huh.
Wasn't that from
anything
like
I
a
see
year ago? I think I saw that about a year ago.
Yeah. So anything you can see from China, you have to understand that the government allowed it to be seen. So
Yeah, if I were
yeah.
welding people in their homes, I'd be like, yeah, show them a floating city so they don't see how fucked up we are.
There you go. There you go.
Mhm.
That's or concentration camps, which we have. But oh well. Yeah. But the NBA doesn't want anybody to say anything bad about them. Oh well, it is what it is. Yeah. But yeah. But thing about it is though is some of the you ever see it. I guess Independence Day, that whole entire thing about them having the ship and being able to reverse engineer and things like that. That movie, I don't know, it just has a ring of truth to it in some ways. I mean,
if aliens are coming, they're not going to look like ET. They're going to look like those fuckers.
Right.
Yeah, and they're not going to be our friends. I just don't see.
Hell no.
Be
I
our
wouldn't
friends.
think so. Well, there's the rumors too about Wright Pat Air Force Base right up the road from me here in Dayton. Well, it's not right up the road. I'm in Cincinnati, but
yeah, I was going to ask if that was in Ohio.
Yeah, it's like a hour north of Cincinnati, 45 minutes north of Cincinnati, something like that. But yeah, I've heard rumors. I don't know if you guys have or not about Wright Pat Air Force Base, them having alien technology there, like keeping one of the UFOs and reverse engineering.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I've talked to some people. I say some people. One person that I knew of for sure that actually was there as a Air Force. He wasn't he was just whatever the ground level Air Force people are.
Airmen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so did you see anything? He's like, no, there's nothing there. It's like, well, I'm sure if there was something there, you probably didn't know.
Yeah,
right.
Unless he had a security clearance, he didn't know anything.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And maybe he did know, and he's just supposed to say no.
Yeah. Yeah, they have something called a NDA, but yeah. I think the government has something called a, speaker you die.
That's pretty much it. It's a gag
NDA.
Order of the highest degree.
Mm-hmm.
They have a you dropped dead of a heart attack NDA. So
that's why I'm kind of surprised about the documentary with the one dude. He's like the real famous guy coming out about working at
Lazar, Bill Lazar.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of surprised.
Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar, not Laser.
Lazar.
Whatever the case may be.
Lazar. However, tomato.
But it makes me really wonder: is he for real?
Well, the fact I think he's doing the right thing by going on like people like Rogan and going on people big enough, making it a big enough noise that they can quietly. Oh, where did Bob go?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. No shit. Yeah, all of this, the whole what ifs and the secret bases and all that. That doesn't interest me as much as the fighter jet footage of the triangular things that just disappear, can do these crazy angles.
Yeah,
like that shit. I don't know if that is fake, but NASA and the Air Force have had to come out and say this is legitimate. This is not doctored footage. And then when you say, well, what is it? They have to say, it's national, for national security reasons, I can't say that, blah, 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 blah. I mean, more than likely it is a UAV technology that we are developing for the future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But then again, and then you look at that and you say that some of this, defies the laws of physics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did you get the technology to build this? And then that right there, that's the question that nobody wants to answer, and people like us are scared to ask in front of somebody with a press badge.
Right.
But that right there, that's the thing. Like the X-Files did that in their first season, where they had these pilots that were piloting this stuff with technology, and it was like warping their brain and giving them weird rashes and shit. And they described them. I mean, Chris Carter did his homework.
Yeah.
I mean, these
Yeah.
things are described as triangular in nature, and some of them.
Does anybody watch that Project Blue Book?
Oh my God! I was going to ask you guys if you watched that. I'm so pissed they canceled it.
Oh, that was that one with the dude from Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah. Excellent
Yeah,
show.
Littlefinger. Yeah, I did like that show.
Yeah,
that was an
I got
excellent
through
show.
like one episode, and I
couldn't even watch it, and I love that kind of shit.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man, you had.
I liked it.
Oh, you had to give it a little bit more chance,
Mhm.
especially with the shady government guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I don't want
They
to watch
really
a
did try to
sitcom
recreate
about that
X-Files.
shit. No way.
Well, I know that Project Blue Book actually did exist. I mean, it's
And this guy actually
existed.
existed too. These were all case files from his investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep.
Oh, what's up, 24 Eyes?
What's up, man?
Owls.
Now this year was is back in February, and these are pilots, and there's a recording of what they saw.
Okay.
2292. Have any targets up here? We just had something.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
Top of us that, I hate to say this, looked like a long cylindrical object that almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast that went right over the top of us.
I guess I was from 21. I thought it was from 22, but still, stuff like that, like what you're talking about right there, Hojo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the actual sightings and stuff like that.
And where's the footage?
Yeah.
Right. Well, there's something that really confuses me about a lot of these when you watch these things and they move so fast. You know, they're like stationary, but then they move. There's something called G-forces, and the only way something could move that fast that would be human was if it just squashed them like a bug, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
with that, it would break their neck.
But yeah.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of anti-gravity apparatus, which we don't currently have, for something to move like that, especially with the inertias involved. You know, because the human body is subject to like the laws of gravity, and one of them is an object in motion stays in motion until acted upon by an outside force.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
look at you quoting Newton.
Yeah. What can I say? I'm a high tech redneck, but anyway. but anyway, but if you were to accelerate off to an angle like that, then your body would continue in a straight line, and you would have to be jerked that way, and it would be immediately fatal, which is like that's what happened to Dale Earnhardt was the change of direction snapped his neck. So we're not built
because if you look at it, it doesn't look like it was that big of a crash. Everybody's like, come on, man. What the hell?
Right, but if you change the direction of somebody's body's moving in this direction, and you change it in that direction, parts of their body is still going to be moving in that direction, and it causes like a lot of spinal damage and things like that. So when you see these things happening, and they're like, "Oh, it's a test plane," no, that's not a test plane.
They're not manned. There's no way they can be manned by humans. It's all UAV technology.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen
the controller on that?
Have you guys ever seen personally anything like that?
No.
I saw around here we have something called the Brown Mountain Lights, and that's the closest I've seen. It's considered one of the world's most stable supernatural phenomenon, and those balls of light that appear, and they've been heavily documented, photographed, and filmed millions of times, and they move that way where they'll float and then, like that.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I've seen. Around
I don't know. I was really high one time, and we had what they call heat lightning, which isn't really lightning. And I thought I saw something in the sky. No, it's probably just stoned.
Static discharge, huh? Static discharge, isn't it? Yeah,
that's really what it is. Yeah.
I was at work a couple years back. I was on third shift outside on my break at 3 a.m. and I saw two lights hovering like that. They were like just kind of doing this, and I asked my buddy, I'm like, do you see that? Because they look like they're moving. And he was watching it. And as soon as he looked, instantly they both just took off.
Right.
And luckily he turned in time to see that happen. So I wasn't the only one that saw that happen. Because
see, even if that's a UAV, they would still have to overcome the laws of inertia and gravity to move like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, i.e., they would still have to be anti-gravity.
And structurally speaking, these would have to be like made of titanium and platinum, and a more dense metal than aluminum. That's for damn sure.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Right. Well, the ones that like the hover jump jets, the Harrier jump jets. That's the only thing I've seen that moves. That we have like that kind of technology, and they use them in the UAVs. It's called VTOL, VTOL technology, vertical takeoff and lift, and they can fly sideways like that.
Yeah,
but they have to exert enough power to do that, and they still have to overcome gravity and inertia. So we don't have that technology. We just don't have it.
And Ryan's right. Drones can do that. In fact, drones tricked me one night last year, 4th of July. We were down in Memphis, and we were staying at the Elvis Presley something, whatever. And they had a big fireworks show. And after the fireworks show, at this point, I'm pretty drunk, pretty high. So I'm watching.
Mr. Good Stuff,
yeah. So I'm watching these lights, and I'm asking my wife, I'm like, this is good stuff. I'm like, do you see that? She's like, yeah. So I start recording it, and we recorded for like 5 minutes. It's just hovering, this light that's just up and down, just hovering slow, not moving any other direction. And we send it to my daughter, and she's like, you guys are so dumb. That's a drone. I'm like, son of a bitch.
I know. I mean, what I wanted, have you seen those kids on TV? They have like these drone championships that are like going through all these obstacles and these tubes and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it is crazy. But just get some of these kids to do that at night. Put the lights on the drone, and you take that to a bunch of damn hippies and say if they don't call and say, "Oh, we're aliens, man! It's aliens."
I had a couple of encounters with UFOs living out here in Colorado.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The first time I seen a UFO was in 2012. I was sleeping in my bed. It was 3:33 in the morning exactly. I was somehow on the other side of the bed that I usually sleep on, and I was sleeping on my stomach with my arm hanging over the side of the bed, which I've never slept like that in my life. I sleep on my stomach, but not with my arm laying over the side of the bed. So when I woke up like that, when I woke up like that, I thought it was kind of strange. And she's like, my wife's like, baby, get up. I'm like, what? There's something out there. I go, what are you talking about? And I can barely open my fucking eyes, and I didn't realize, what the hell am I doing on this side of the bed? You know, I mean, why am my arm on the side? Anyway, I just thought that was kind of weird. And then she pointed up to the fucking window, because we have this long rectangle window that doesn't have any blinds over it. Almost like a skylight, but on the side.
Like a bay window?
Yeah, and then you could see the building next to us. And it's the same building as ours. It's identical. It's building B. And I'm looking at it. I'm looking at what she's pointing at. And right in front of my fucking eyes is a UFO. Fucking bright UFO. I mean, like brighter than the moon. This was your classic, like saucer shape. Mm-hmm. I would say it was about the size of maybe a minivan. And I drew it the next day after I've seen it. I drew this drawing right here. It looked like it had a force field around it. It's hard to explain. Well, first of all, it's so bright. At the time, I didn't realize this, but later on, after thinking about it, it was so bright it should have lit up the whole neighborhood. But yet, this disc was actually not the surrounding area wasn't getting lit up. So the roof was dark as can be, because it was the middle of the night, 3:30 in the morning. And this object was emitting all this light, but it wasn't affecting the surroundings. And this object, I could see almost the whole thing, but a little bit was behind the roof. And this thing was so close to the roof, it looked like it was either going through the roof or just barely almost touching it by like a micrometer.
Yeah.
And it wasn't standing, it wasn't like floating like still. It was going in an orbit. It was going in a clockwise orbit, but like a really short orbit, like an inch orbit, where it's almost still, but it's going in a little orbit. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It was still going clockwise, very slowly. And I didn't see any windows. It didn't make any noise. There was no portholes. I didn't see any aliens. And I'm just looking at it. I got kind of scared because I saw the object so close, because I'd say it's between 45 and 60 feet away.
Wow.
That I actually went to the kitchen, turned off the light, and looked at it from further away because I was kind of close. Now everybody's going to ask me, well, why didn't you take a picture? I tell you right now, I was shitting my pants. The last thing I thought about is taking a picture.
Right.
I thought, maybe they'd see me. Where are they doing? Did they drop off my wife? Did they drop off the next door neighbor? Are they coming to pick up somebody?
Right.
What's going on? What is this object doing? And I didn't get a chance to see how it left, if it disappeared, if it flew off, because I didn't want to look at it very long. I watched it for about, maybe 20 seconds, and that was enough. And that's like my worst fear, is to, get abducted or something. You know what I mean? That's like my biggest fear. And just seeing that object is still fear in me. And then I drew this sketch, and then later on I actually made a color. Well, that's what it looked like, something like that. And it looked like I had an overshield on it.
Yeah.
Going through it, almost like electricity.
Well, if they abducted you, Belmont, they'd get a contact high. So
And the crazy thing is, we would joke about it later on. And then in 2015, as a joke, one day I was sitting on my couch. It was 9:30 at night, and I said to my wife, "Hey, why don't you look outside? Tell me if you see any UFOs," as a joke, And then she, humored me and actually looked out the window, and she goes, "Baby, there's something out there." I'm like, "What?" And I thought she was joking back. And I look, and there's this fucking a UFO. At first, I thought it was a Chinese lantern. You know those lanterns that look like they're on fire and they go straight up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought somebody let one of those go right at the same spot we saw the other UFO behind the roof of the next building. And this this thing came up over that fucking building as though there was like a airport or like a runway behind it. And then it started creeping up. And then I realized that ain't no fucking Chinese lantern. And it was going so slow, I thought it was going to crash. It was going like, I don't know, like a half mile an hour or something. And it was almost like I was in slow motion.
Yeah.
And it was an object that looked like this. Let me show you. It was all black, and it was so black that it was actually blacker than the sky, so I can see it, if that makes any sense. It was the blackest black I've ever seen in my life. Let's put it that way, like black hole black.
None blacker.
And but inside the middle, which makes no sense if it's all blacked out, it doesn't want to be seen. There's like a fucking, it looks like it was on fire in the middle. It had a fire in the middle. I don't know how I can describe it. It's like this. That's what it looked like. So I guess that's the engine or whatever that's making it, be able to stay in the air. That's what it looked like. And it had like a diamond shape almost. And it wanted me to see it, I think. It's kind of weird. Almost like I fucking called the UFO on demand. Almost like I summoned it. I know you guys are going to think I'm a fucking whack job or whatever, but this is what happened, man. My wife was there. She saw it. And it just went so slow, and it just went over that roof and then went a little bit of a slight angle and went right over my head from where I was looking at it in the window. And this thing was showing off. This thing was showing me what it's got. That's what I think. I'm thinking, how the fuck did they hear me? How did it know? That freaked me out. I don't know. But it's just a weird story. You don't have to believe it if you don't want to, but that's what happened.
It reminds me of Flight of the Navigator in a way. Anybody remember that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that movie. I was really fascinated with it when I was a
Been a
kid.
very long
Crazy.
time since I've seen it, but yes, I have seen it.
Yeah, I mean, making the computer's voice, having Paul Rubens voice the computer's voice was great. This is really a grace note, but it had some pretty sophisticated speculation in the like the DNA of that movie
Yeah.
about especially about like time and space and speculations along those lines. About the kid was displaced in time because they slipstream from one into the future basically, and it was so he's like a kid out of time. He disappeared all these years. His abduction. Lost Hojo, but there's like they thought he was they thought he was missing, that he disappeared, and he shows up at their house like I think it was 20 years later,
Yeah.
and no memory of anything, and it turns out he was abducted and moved forward in time or whatever. It's a good movie. I think it still holds up today. I've watched it as recently as 2 years ago, and I thought the technology really held up. It was surprising. But this was, especially the morphing technology, is kind of brand new at that time. It's right after T2 came out.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it had a very similar profile to what you were showing right there. But yeah, he's got spotty internet. Okay. Well, that's what happens when you move around. You stick in one spot, man. You can handle it. But anyway, yeah, that's fascinating, Belmont. I think Travis Walton. What was interesting to me about him, the guy from Fire in the Sky. If you're familiar with him, good stuff.
Yep.
I think everybody's into UFOs. He's kind of like a rock star, so you definitely know who he is. But he's talked about several times he's seen. He's like, he only talks about the ones that he can document that other people have seen, but he has seen multiple flying saucers since, or not flying saucers, but UFOs, and so he thinks he's tagged, kind of like tagged by the aliens as so they like check up on him from time to time or something. But I thought that was he only like talks about one other that was documented by other people seeing it, because he doesn't tell stories about when he sees them and nobody else saw them. He wants to documented evidence. He says, if I do that one time, if I tell people I saw something and it's not documented one time, then everything else goes out the window. So
that makes
he's very
sense.
careful about that. But yeah, I watched like an hour long with Hannibal. So watched the Joe Rogan. I didn't watch him. I was like listening to him on work last night. But one thing interesting about that, people, if you ever hear somebody is actually telling an actual story that's not like fabricated, has very little drift. It has very little narrative drift from the first time they tell it to the last time they tell it.
Right.
The only thing it changes is perspective. What they think about that thing happening. And if you watch the later, as the interviews go, he talks about how his perspective changed, and he thinks now that he wasn't supposed to be in that clearing, and it was an accident that he got zapped like that, and that they were trying to like fix it before they moved on, and so they were actually being benign when he was like swinging at them and everything.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, how that narrative changed from the scary aliens abducting me and doing all this stuff to me to, now he's like, they just tried to fix the animal that they hurt, So not all, that he doesn't assume that they saw him as another, like on their level, he's just he's saying a advanced technological culture, damages a lower life form and tries to fix it before they move on. Splint the leg of the dog that they accidentally hit with their car or something.
Yeah.
So I think that's fascinating. Plus the fact that there's very little narrative drift in it, what he said initially all the way.
Mm-hmm.
And he's taken lie detector tests for decades and decades and decades. And he said one of his fellow men that was there that day takes a lie detector every time he gets a new girlfriend.
They thought he was murdered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were looking for him. I mean, where did he go for all those days? And how did they all pass those lie detectors separately? And he's like he said, he's never drifted from his story. His story's been consistent for decades.
Right.
As a matter of fact, he debunks other people's. He says he doesn't criticize other people's testimonials, but he says, "But I know when they're telling the truth or not." And so the only way you can tell or debunk somebody else is if you know the truth or if you're an expert of the truth. And he's been able to over the years he's been able to correctly identify people that are lying, and the only way to do that is if you are the genuine article, So I mean,
it's a good movie.
Say.
Yeah.
I'll take a lie detector test, but I'm not paying for it.
Well, we're not paying for it, you cheapskate.
So if you guys want to do a GoFundMe, I'll take that shit.
No, I'm not gonna pay for nothing. I'm not gonna pay your way, Belmont. Goodness gracious, man.
I mean, I've seen that movie so many times. When I saw the original, the Spawn movie come out, the guy who took Al's place or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's a dude from Fire in the Sky. Never seen him in anything since. D.B. Sweeney, that's it. Yeah. Never seen him in anything else.
I've seen him in multiple movies. Yeah.
That movie is a lot different than what actually he said happened.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. When he was in the craft, he saw humanoid aliens as well that looked almost like they could pass for a human. And I think that he grabbed that object that he found on that table and he started swinging like you were talking about, Bunny. He had some kind of glass object or a stick or something, a wand. And he is the only thing he can find.
You go to Libs of TikTok, you see humanoids that can pass for human all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you do.
He said,
he said
the rooms are perfectly lit. Where it's kind of strange how the lighting was in the craft, how they were lit. From the light source didn't seem to come from anywhere. It just was there.
And it didn't hurt his eyes when he's staring directly into it, which is a really unique aspect. Which reminds me of what you were talking about yours. So
very much.
It could be a different spectrum of light.
And then he got out of that room, went to some other room, and I think there was a chair and a control panel and some screens and maybe the cockpit. And he fucked with a couple controls and he saw it move around or something. And then they came and got his ass.
Well, some humanoids that look almost human came and got him. The little small grays that he first saw couldn't handle him, so he thinks they summoned those other ones to handle him because they were bigger and stronger, and they basically he followed them thinking that they're going to lead him out, thinking they were trying to save him or something, but then they took him to a room and they had him lay down on the table, and he was freaking out about that, but then they held him down and then they put him out. Some kind of anesthesia or something, but they were wearing almost environmental suits in the place that he was in initially, and he could barely breathe there, and so he thinks that they were oxygen breathers too, and so they took him to the other place he could breathe better, but then they basically held him down and he went out again, and then he woke up by the side of the road, watching the light take off. And but he talked about that. I thought this was really fascinating. They took an EEG of his brainwave pattern, and there was a strange anomaly in his brainwave pattern that was later resolved when he took one later on. But he said if you look at the waves, He said most waves are up and down. Brainwave patterns are up and down. But he says his had a side-to-side pattern that was like it was not like it all the time, but it was like there's a side-to-side pattern, and he said it was similar to the pattern that somebody who's knocked off of a power line by touching a live wire would have.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's all I get when I get high, Bunny.
Yeah. No, I think yours is more like a flat line, but anyway.
With a couple little bloop every once in a while. Bloop.
Yeah, occasional. Yeah. But he also talked about his friend who was the one at the open door of the truck. Got skin cancer on that arm, on the side of the arm that was exposed to the clearing.
Oh.
And he said, and then when they went back later to say debunker, to basically paid him to go back to that clearing, and they looked around and they found the trees had quicker, faster ring growth towards the clearing. Like they were 85-year-old trees, but you could tell from the ring growth that the last 15 years had grown about 8 times the speed, or way faster than it should have. He says it's Scott's pines, which were what was in that clearing, are also in Chernobyl, and they've determined they've seen it happen in Chernobyl the same way.
Yeah.
So some sort of radiation source causes a growth pattern that's really unique.
Reminds me of Ninja Turtles Part 2 with the giant dandelions.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. But yep. Anyway, yeah. If you
Did you
never
guys
watched the
ever
Travis Walton interview, so go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to go watch. Did you guys ever see that? I think Charlie Sheen made like a alien movie. I want to say it's called Arrival, but that's not right. But like he would step into this light and they would put like flesh onto him or something. That's how the aliens were. It's a fucked up movie, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that.
Screwed up.
I don't know the name of it, but it creeped me out.
Something like They Are Here or something like that. The ending was what got me. The ending was really one of those to be determined. The Arrival is the name of it. Yep, The Arrival.
The Arrival?
Yeah, The Arrival. Yeah. That's the movie.
Did they remake that recently?
No, they made a different movie with similar name with Charlie.
Yeah, wasn't that the guy who did Dune, right?
Yeah. I can't remember his name. It's
Villanueva.
Villanueva. Yeah.
I miss
Villeneuve. No, it's Villeneuve. Yeah, Dennis
Okay.
Villeneuve. Yeah. Right. Anyway, some strange name. Yeah, I remember The Arrival. That was a good one. There's been several I guess the alien abduction or the alien invasion films from the 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, which were kind of like I guess a product of the Cold War, but some of them, man, they'll stick
the
with
invasion of the body snatchers. Oh.
Yep.
Oh yeah. That was definitely that one. With Donald, the colored one and the black and white were awesome.
Yeah, they remade that. It's called Stranger Things Season 3.
There you go.
Oh.
Right. What was the one where the kid? It was a black and white one, but then they remade it in the 80s, and it's about this kid that people started acting strange around him. He saw something happen behind his house, like a light go down behind his house, and then people started acting strange. And there's like this little X on the back of their heads.
I don't know.
I can't remember the name of it, but that one that one gave me nightmares. That one gave me
I don't know
serious
if I've
nightmares.
seen that one or not.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Well, I mean, there was one. It was a 50s film, and then they remade it for the 80s. And it's a little kid. Something went down behind his house. And then suddenly people started like changing in his town. And he always see like this little X on the back of their head, or where they're like a scar on the back of their necks. And
kind of sounds familiar now.
yeah, I don't know the name of it, but that movie really terrified me as a kid. It's the 80s. The remake was the one I saw.
Trying to find it.
Yeah.
You're not talking about Children of the Damned, are you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Or Village of the Damned. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, that's a documentary. Anyway.
I thought we were going to dive into Roswell.
Yeah. Let's talk about Roswell. I got
Invaders from Mars.
Invaders from Mars.
That's the one. Okay. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that actually.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah.
When you said the scar, that's what I was like. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's like people started acting nicer to him or something, and it was creepy to it. It's a way because he was kind of a little asshole, and then people started like, oh, there, you'll grow out of this, and he's like, the people being patient with me? What the crap's going on here, And it turned out eventually I went up back behind his house, and he found like the alien craft back there, and he saw him like changing people out. And yeah, that movie just creeped the hell out of me. But yeah, Roswell, New Mexico. I guess that's the biggie. So I got something pulled up. It's just a Wikipedia article. It's probably full of shit, but
no, not Wikipedia.
Yeah, definitely not a valid source.
See, some people think Area 51 and Roswell are the same thing.
Right.
They're not. No.
Like, I mean, the way I try to explain to people is Roswell is where the quote unquote crash happened. Area 51 is where the wreckage was taken.
Yeah, right. It's okay. I pulled it up. If you want to share it.
I got it.
All right. So this is it's like the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
The RAF captured flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region.
1947.
Yeah, 1947. Yeah. So it basically the recovery of balloon debris from a ranch near Corona, New Mexico, with United States Air Force officers from Roswell Army Airfield. Decades later, claimed that the debris involved a flying saucer. The truth had been covered up with the United States government. The Roswell Army Airfield issued a press release saying they recovered a flying disc. The Army quickly retracted the statement instead that the crashed object was a conventional weather balloon.
Yeah,
how many times are going to do?
Did it say the Air Force recovered it?
Yeah.
Well, the Air Force didn't exist until. Okay, I was going to say the Air Force, as far as a government military, it wasn't even a thing until the 50s.
Yeah, DeLay made the Air Force out of the Army Air Corps.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Roswell, New Mexico is kind of like capitalized on it, but let's see. Here is the external news radio broadcast. Here we go. All right. Oop, is it going to play? Doesn't look like it's going to play. Okay.
Well, I had that in my outro, Bunny, but yeah, at first they had announced on the radio, the Army just got a... Oh, you got it? There it is.
Yeah. Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Russia has demanded UN action to get all foreign military personnel out of Greece. Southern soft coal operators have not yet reached agreement with John L. Lewis, but the rest of the soft coal industry has resumed production. The House of Representatives has passed the tax reduction bill by more than the 2/3 which would be required to override a veto.
All right, that's good enough. We don't need to hear about the rest of that. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, that's Roswell.
Well, there was no protocol back then. You know, what are they going to do? They didn't know what to do if there was a UFO crash or whatever. You know, so
1947, Ryan.
Yeah,
Ryan.
1947.
Yeah.
And I think they realized after that, you know, they had to have a protocol, and we can't let this shit go. We can't put this stuff in the paper.
Right.
So we have to fix this now. We have to say it was a weather balloon, and you made a mistake, and that you always misidentify alien craft as weather balloons. It's an honest mistake.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So how many times do they use that excuse? Oh, it's a weather balloon. It's a weather balloon.
And they said there was occupants or whatever, but there wasn't actually. Back then, they didn't use dummies in the weather balloons until a few years later. So that even doesn't even hold water anymore. That excuse saying that it was this bunch of dummies that weren't real bodies. They weren't aliens. They were just dummies. They were. They fell from the sky.
Right. But alien autopsy, real or no?
No,
I was just thinking about that.
No, it came out as no. It came out as it was fake. Did you know that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering if they ever debunked that.
Debunked the debunk.
They said they had the real footage, but it was so degraded that they actually had to remake it, and that's what that footage is.
Oh, okay.
That's how they explained it, but they got caught. Yeah, there was a couple things like the clock, I think, that gave it away or whatever it was. But that video is fake. It's a good fake, but it's fake.
Yeah,
that's what I'd say too if I made a video that I didn't want anybody to know about. Yep, that's fake. That's definitely a fake one.
Nothing to see here. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Look at this. Look at this right over here.
You see the alien interrogation video?
No, I don't think I've seen that one.
It's like an alien in a dark room, and then it like starts coughing. It's like it's sitting in a chair, and then like a nurse.
Yeah.
And then you could see like a monitor, like a heart monitor or something going, and supposedly it's footage from them interrogating aliens. There's lots of stories of that where government has captured alien gray, and they just keep it for decades and just fucking ask it questions every day. How's your fucking UFO fly? What's in your engine? How's that work? How's this work? And it's trying to explain like calculus to a monkey. You know what I mean? It's their intelligence is way more vast than ours. So
I watched the Bob Lazar interview. Lazar, okay. I pronounced it right.
He got it this time.
You got it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm identified. Okay. Like Mrs. Good Stuff says she believes him, but yeah, I watched that interview with him, and what I look for. Yeah, they shouldn't cuss at the aliens. It's rude. Yeah, I don't think I use that many F-bombs. But anyway, okay. But one thing that struck me about Bob Lazar's interview with Joe Rogan was how many times he would say, "This is just speculation. I don't have any idea. I have no clue here," and just give his observations. And I've often found when somebody makes something up over the years, that they give more explanation than they should have access to. You know, they seem to they try to make themselves bigger or more authoritative than they are.
Oversell it.
Yeah, but Bob, when you see Bob talking about this thing, he's like completely clueless. He's like, "I'm just telling you what I saw. I have no idea what this thing is. I have no idea how it works." You know, and just completely, totally, you know, and so it has a ring authenticity to it. It doesn't peg my bullshit meter, you know. Neither does Travis Walton. So.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Bob Lazar. He basically told his friend, you know, hey, they're going to do a UFO test. If you go to the spot, we can get some binoculars, and check it out. I know exactly when the UFO is going to, go in the sky. and we can see the test flight. And they went there, and they actually at the exact same time that he said there was a UFO. It just appeared exactly where he said it would, and that's what made him a believer. That he proved it. And if he was just some guy, how would he know that a UFO was going to appear at that minute? And Bob Lazar is a very interesting man. He used to make like cars that run on like I think it was hydrogen.
Hydrogen.
Yeah, and he just did it.
They
it was a fun
recruited
thing to
him,
do on Saturday. Just make my car run on hydrogen. No big deal. Just something.
Well, they recruited him because of he was like one of the youngest people to have like patents, to his name. I mean, he's a certified polymath. He was inventing things before he, right out of diapers, and so this guy, he was like a next Tesla, Nikola Tesla, at one point, and so then right after he left that program, it's like they buried his career,
Yeah, they ghosted him. They say, "Oh no, he never went to that school." Or
no, they ruined his credibility.
That company.
Yeah.
What was it? Something Labs. He didn't work. They said he didn't work for. Got the name of it. Something Labs. And basically try to make him look like he's just a janitor or something. He doesn't work for the government. So they just erased his credentials and basically erasing his credibility. And Stanton Friedman, one of the top ufologists who just passed away recently, he didn't believe Bob Lazar. I think he's full of shit. I think because he can't find any evidence that he went to that school or whatever. You know what I mean? But
right. Oh yeah. His whole entire thing was. I mean, his whole entire accomplishments up to that point were almost erased. But he at one point, he was definitely on line to be the next Nikola Tesla because he was coming up with things in his spare time in his garage that were beyond what people with billion-dollar government contracts were doing, and then and that's why they recruited him, because they thought if anybody could figure anything out about this, he would.
Because he thinks outside of the box. He's kind of he's out there. And I think that's why they picked him. He even said he didn't even know why the hell they picked him because there's so many other people that are more qualified than him. And
they were qualified, but they weren't like creating the things that he was creating. That kind of genius is usually doesn't have degrees. I mean that Tesla didn't have very many. It didn't have degrees to his name, but he was just that brilliant. We're talking about somebody that figured out the freaking resonant frequency of the Earth and caused an earthquake. Okay, that's who we're talking about here.
Right.
Well, he said he worked at S4, which is a little bit further down the road from Area 51, and they would take these buses that are all blacked out. Just had either they're spray painted black, all the windows are covered up, so you can't see anything, so you don't know where you're going. So you meet at the Nevada airport or something, and then they would bring you on a bus, fly you in, and take you on a bus, and this bus would bring you to S4, and this S4 place was supposedly in a mountain range, a hangar with all these different UFOs inside, and Bob got to see what he called the sports model. Yeah, and he called that because it looked like really sleek and really really cool looking. There's no screws or bolts or anything. It was just smooth and a nice, beautiful looking thing like a sports car would look. And they wanted him to look at the propulsion system, and to back engineer it and find out how the hell it works.
Kokoshiku Papashango, they picked the Lazar guy because he had a sweet Honda. That's what he adapted to run off of hydrogen.
He got paranoid. He used to have this guy with him, and he used to carry a Uzi. Well,
Hojo had to bounce, but anyway, I think we're closing up. I think we're closing up shop a little bit anyway.
He got shot. He got shot at too, supposedly. Bob Lazar.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Right.
Probably to scare him or whatever,
Oh, definitely. I mean, you hear some of the stories that Travis Walton's told over the years about being followed, or you know, people like picking fights with him out of the blue for no reason, you know. And oh, by the way, Travis Walton studied martial arts, so those things didn't turn out well for people. But that's the thing, you know. I mean, you see these guys that come forward and then you see the like subtle ways that the media is like kneecapped them. And now that we're starting to get an idea of how the media has done this for, you know, centuries now, you know, how the media is like, you know, push this and you know, push that down and raise this up. Yeah, I think we've really gotten a good look at just how corrupt our media is in the last little while. Beyond anything I ever conceived of, to be honest.
Yeah.
But now the mask is off. So.
Yeah, NASA just announced that they're finally going to look into UFOs. There's something there, they think.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, okay. I didn't know we even still had a NASA.
Not a real.
I thought Obama killed NASA, didn't he? No, or is that back? Okay. Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter. The vet was hydrogen. The Honda had a turbine engine. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Yeah. Okay, had to put a turbine.
That's all. I met the guy with the Uzi. I think he was driving around town with like his rocket car and shit. And this guy like wanted to make friends with him and find out more about him, and then they became friends.
Right,
and
right.
he told me, you know, I work for the government and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I think by him telling the story, you know, they just make him seem crazy instead of not having to kill him. You know what I mean? So people just discredit him instead of killing him off. But,
all right, gotcha. Well, I think that's a pretty decent place to wrap it up today. Yeah, I think we've not scratched the surface of the subject, but I think we've kind of given an overview. You know,
right? Yeah,
overview of
an overview of scratching the surface.
Yeah. Yeah, just the survey. Yeah, it's a survey. You know. Anyway. So, whoop, we still haven't asked. We just have rockets anymore. We use Elon Musk now. Oh, okay. Good to know. That's just so terrible. Even the left recognizes the money pit and cut their losses.
Yeah, I think this NASA is just just like the front. It's not the real space program. It's just
right.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
All right, well, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks for coming.
All right. Yeah.
You guys can check out my outro that I worked on for many, many hours.
Many years.
And you're going to like
Enjoy.
See you, chat. Thank you for showing up.
All right.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
When I was in England, I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it, and didn't inhale, and never tried it again.